What's happening? It's Friday. You know what that means? We're going to do Q&A as advertised and promised. I got to sit down today and do some Q&A with my favorite person on the face of planet Earth. That is right, my wife, Leah. We both decided that it was the most fair, most non-biased to let Michael choose the questions. And as much as I hate to say this, it pains me to say this, he did a good job. He blended some Jiu Jitsu stuff, some life stuff, a little relationship stuff. He did a very good job. He blended it all together. It was 200 plus questions. Thank you for everybody who submitted a question. And hopefully we'll be able to do it again. It wasn't a pressure-filled environment. I think she enjoyed it. It took me a year from the last time she was on to get her back in here. Maybe the next time I can do it inside of 6 months. There are some things we talked about on the show that are in the show notes. So, yeah, I think we're set. Let's get into this Friday episode. Before we do, give me a moment to pay the bills and we'll be right into it. Today's episode is brought to you by Pique. Specifically, we're going to be talking about their Pu'er tea bundles. There's a lot of people out there, to include myself, that really never drank any tea earlier in life. I didn't like the idea of it. An argument could be made that I have drank and continue to drink far too much coffee, which is helpful in the morning and a little bit hard when it's time to go to sleep. But one thing coffee has never done for me is help me with my gut microbiome, my digestion. And it certainly hasn't helped me calm down and relax a little bit. And those are all things that can be a benefit from the Pu'er tea bundles. You may be asking yourself, what is this tea bundle you speak of? I'm going to read it right off of the website so I don't miss anything important. It's a duo of green and black teas designed to transform your gut health, support your metabolism, and enhance your overall vitality. Some key benefits that can come with that: gut health, naturally fermented for living probiotics and prebiotics to balance your microbiome. I am embarrassed to say I didn't pay attention to any of that until about 12 months ago. Longevity, it's packed with antioxidants that fight oxidative stress and support cellular regeneration for radiant skin and vitality. And super convenient, dissolves instantly in water, no tea bags, no brewing. This is what it looks like, or this is one of the examples of what it looks like. Easy to travel with. I never liked the idea of sipping tea in a bundle. I'm going to talk about the kit that comes with this, and it makes it super convenient. So, here's an example one right here. This was for digestion and calm. You could just throw this thing in your backpack, your laptop case, whatever it is, tea on the go, assuming you can get some hot water. You don't have to worry about the tea bag. You don't have to worry about the mess after the tea bag. These teas are wild harvested from 250-year-old tea trees for unmatched purity and nutrient density, and they use a cold extraction technology, which helps retain maximum phytonutrients. If this sounds like something that you want to give a try, which I highly recommend that you do, this is actually part of my morning routine now, more days of the week than it's not, they have a call to action for you, and here's what it is. For a limited time, you can get 20% off on the Pu'er bundle plus a free starter kit. The starter kit comes with two really cool things. This rechargeable frother, and it comes with a glass beaker, which I don't happen to have in front of me right now, that super easy to figure out exactly how much water you want. You could drink it right out of there if you want to, pour it into something else. You can get that by clicking on the link in the show notes. Head over to piquelife.com/clearedhot. That is Pique Life, Pique Quebec, uniform echo life.com/clearedhot to claim this exclusive offer. Let's dive into the Q&A with my wife.
Okay, I got the red smoke. Gun run, north and south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy, west of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby, give it to me, I need it. You're cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
We're going to get right into questions?
I don't know. How do you want to kick it off?
Yeah,
It's been a year since you've been back.
Yep.
Because it's about how long it takes me to get you to do stuff.
I wouldn't say that, but
So I have to start with, do you hear that noise, Michael? What is that?
Sounds like a church
I
bell.
think
Church bell.
It's
Yeah.
noon. Yeah.
Crack of noon.
Yeah.
Crack of 12:33.
12:30.
People were threatening to tell you about something I do when you're not around. So I have to open with sharing a secret.
Okay. Well, this is the perfect place, I guess.
Sometimes when you're on the road, I go into the garage in the house and I throw stuff out.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
Oh, God damn it. I thought I was
Yeah.
sneaky. None of you
No.
fuckers have any leverage on me. I just told her everything.
Yeah. No, it's probably for the best. I have a little bit of a hoarding tendency.
How long have you known that I've been doing that?
Since you started.
But you never said anything.
Well, here's a secret for you. Sometimes I come home and take stuff out of the trash.
That's not acceptable.
Some of it's new stuff. It's nice.
All right.
I give it to people.
So I'm going to have to up my game. I'm not going to put it in our trash anymore.
Well,
It
maybe I
might be
shouldn't have said anything.
It might be somebody's trash on our street. It might be trash elsewhere.
You're going to get in trouble for garbage diving.
No, that would be you. I am just, God damn it. I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, done it a bunch.
Move, counter move, I guess.
Yeah.
Michael, did you come prepared?
Yeah, I've got quite a few here.
Did you look at some of the questions at all?
I looked at a few. Yeah, there were some funny comments.
They span quite a few genres.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair if I get to pick. Did you have any that you directly wanted to answer, or do you want to turn it completely over to Michael?
Let's let Michael do his thing.
In my experience with Michael, that is not always a good idea. But we're going to... The number of times he said he's come prepared and then is completely unprepared is beyond me. Michelle, go ahead.
All right. This one was a popular one. Where did Andy take Leah on their first date?
First date.
What do you consider a first date?
I think our probably official going out would have been the farmhouse in Lakeside for breakfast.
Which is not open anymore.
I know. It was a great spot.
That was one of the best breakfast spots in Flathead Valley that I used to tell everybody about. And I believe, didn't they say the other restaurant associated with that is closed now as well too, the higher end?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's a tough business.
Did you order the chicken and waffles there?
I may have. I don't remember if it was that day. I have had that before though. But
Slight
great
tear.
breakfast spot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, I don't know if I would have been able to recall that was our first date.
Maybe not. Yeah.
But we did go there for breakfast. Mm-hmm. All right. Michael?
Perfect.
Maybe an anticlimax there. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. What has it been like for Leah navigating the martial arts world as a woman from the beginning when it was taboo to now with women's divisions becoming very popular, including women's wrestling at the college level?
I was pretty fortunate to eventually find a Jiu Jitsu gym. You know, my first Jiu Jitsu experience was in a rec center, and that was a little wild in Alaska. It was
No women though, right? Just you?
No, there weren't any women, and there weren't any women the first few years at Travis's gym either.
Did any join or attempt to join and just change their mind, or they just weren't there?
No, they just weren't there. It just wasn't really a thing. And you rolled your first day back then, so you were sparring the very moment you came in. So I was losing immediately, you know, but I was not getting hurt. I was being treated well. You know, I was being encouraged. It was fun. It was a good group of guys. They were all more experienced than me. They'd all had some wrestling or MMA. And Travis is my coach for Straight Blast Gym, Montana. And then eventually I was over with Matt Thornton at Straight Blast Gym in Portland. And both of them are very encouraging of having women in the gym. It's a very tough sport, and there wasn't really a great on-ramp at the time. So there weren't many of us. The first match I had with a woman was at a tournament in Helena.
What belt?
We were white belts. I think she might have been a blue belt, or pretty close. I think she was even a teen. And I think I won one, lost one. No, I think I might have even lost both. I had her in a triangle at one point. Oh, yes, I did finish that. So I won the first one. I think I lost the second one, and I think I lost one more after that. I don't think I won. You know, that was my first experience, and I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't rolled with another female before, so it was easier for sure. And
Size and strength and athleticism is real.
yeah, so the coaches that I worked with facilitated that. My coach, Travis's wife, was starting to get involved, and she eventually became a black belt, but she was always kind of in the background. She was running the yoga side of things, and so she was really encouraging. And they wanted to grow the gym. So they knew they were going to need women. They had a kids program. I think any gym that wants to really survive and thrive in the community includes everyone. It's not just a bunch of dudes rolling around. There are gyms like that are,
It's a certain flavor.
yeah, successful. It's more of like a garage style gym, and they're super fun, more like a clubhouse, close knit. You got to be real tough to be on those mats a lot of times. They're more weeding people out, than including everyone, which it shifts the culture of the gym. It's interesting. So it was, I was encouraged, I was included. I felt protected by my training partners, not taken advantage of. I was losing all the time, but I thought it was funny. You just have to laugh or you're going to quit, I guess. Or cry. Yeah. Cry in the shower.
When did you notice it's hard to tell if you're crying if you do it in the shower. When did you notice I don't want to say the explosion of women into jiu-jitsu. It's definitely, there's a lot more. What word would you use to describe women's participation?
I think it's been a slow increase, but in a good way. Every year I compete, I see more women. So I just competed a few weeks ago in Helena, and there were a ton of women there. There were probably about 500 people at the tournament. And I would say a good 100 of them were women, little girls, teens, adults. We had a women's black belt division. It was absolute. It was, kind of 4 different weight classes, age groups, and we all just combined and did matches. And I never imagined there'd be enough black belts in Montana. For a really long time, I was the only one living here, female black belt. And so that was really cool. There was not a men's black belt division. So
in Helena.
In that last tournament, yeah, there was just the ladies threw down. And I will say a lot of those ladies did the no-gi too. I was coaching and I didn't do the no-gi, but a lot of them came back at like 5 p.m. and did no-gi too. So it was cool.
What's the most successful thing you've seen a gym do to encourage female participants?
I think having a ladies class goes a really long way. The more women you get on the mat, I think the critical mass is about 10. And then it'll kind of start growing itself. But that first 10 is so hard to gain and maintain. I think having a ladies class is really important. Having a beginner class is huge. And then if you can get some ladies to step over, you already got women in your gym, I guarantee, girlfriends, wives, daughters, sisters. Yep. Moms of kids. And they're watching. They're in the gym, sometimes more consistently than your own members. And if you can get them to step onto the mat, grab a partner, grab another mom, grab a friend that's their size, and just get out there and kind of have fun with it. So they're not rolling with guys initially. That can be a great transition.
Okay.
So it continues to grow. I remember when the brown and black, there wasn't a black belt division at Worlds for the women. It was brown and black combined because there just weren't enough. And then suddenly one year there were black belts, and then they've added weight classes and age, now there's the masters division. So it's continued to grow. It's cool.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. So kind of going off of that one, in your opinion, what age is too late to start jiu-jitsu? What obstacles do you see for an older student? I'm 42, relatively fit, and have always wanted to try it. What concerns me is getting injured.
I started when I was 41.
Yeah. I don't think there's any age that's too late.
How about for Vaughn?
For Vaughn, you just have to manage your expectations.
My expectation would be maybe he could pick himself up if he fell over.
His problem would be he would go hard. He would be throwing down.
I don't even know what that would look like. He's such a decrepit age and
That's
close to
not true
death.
at all. He's still a pretty big guy, and he goes to the gym probably 5 days a week at least. He's still pretty fit, and he has that competitive spirit. So the challenge becomes, do you try to move like you did when you were 20? And
He would, yes.
Yes, and that would be the problem. So the person would have to adjust their expectations, and you learn that pretty quickly. It's always a potential to get injured, but if you're careful choosing your training partners, you allow yourself to recover and let go of things, So if you're in a bad position, you sometimes have to let go instead of letting yourself get folded in half or bent up. Or if you're in a submission, you need to tap early, not try to thrash your way out. That's when people get hurt. So I think it's kind of like snowboarding. It's like you can be dropping cliffs and doing, crazy stuff in the park, or you can just cruise groomers, and I think you can start that later in life. So you just have to, I think, do it at a little bit slower pace, but it depends on the person. Like, we've got a guy in the gym right now that's in his 40s, but he's a CrossFit coach part-time. He wrestled, and he's gnarly. He won against a bunch of much younger guys at this tournament. He ran a half marathon the day before, so it depends on what kind of shape you've kept yourself in. He ended up finally breaking his toe, sweeping one of our guys. He picked him up, he body locked him and kicked his legs out, and he broke his toe. And that was his last match.
Oh, like foot straight into...
No, it was just sideways. I don't know if it caught on the mat or caught the guy's feet. He took him down. It was a beautiful takedown, but they were standing there, and he's realizing it's probably not going to be possible for him to continue. So I told his teammate, I was like, that means you win. Because he had already lost to him earlier that day. I was like, you win this one.
Goes in the W column.
Yeah, W column.
Yeah. Worry less about how it gets into the W column and just worry about which column it's in.
He did it, yeah. You can hear I wonder if the ween will be, you can hear him in the
He'll
background.
be fine. He can't hear it through the speakers or the microphone. 78 years old. You would let my dad start jiu-jitsu if you wanted
We've
to?
had people start that way and be really successful in foundations in the drilling class. They just have to be really cautious who they train with. There's a lady that's that age in Portland that's training now. She just got her blue belt.
Wow.
And then there's, Dr. John over there got his black belt. He started at 60. Lily, our first female black belt, started at 50, got her black belt at 60. They were active people, so I don't know if I've had someone that was truly never active that started at that age, but if you've been active and you're still moving pretty well, I think it's very possible.
I actually think it's unlikely if somebody has not been active at their life that they make it to 78.
That's, possible. It's
Sedentary
less likely,
lifestyle
yeah.
is not correlated well with an extended lifespan.
True. Yeah.
So
All right. Which one of you is Javelin's favorite human?
Oh
All
my
dogs
gosh.
have a favorite in the house, especially wieners.
This is really contentious, actually.
he chose you last night. He showed me no love, affection, or regard.
Actually both very jealous about this. This is the one thing that we're like, it's actually kind of heartbreaking when I watch him run. Sometimes I'll let him out of his cage and he'll run past me to Andy. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But then, he'll sit with me or something and he'll kind of upset Andy. I think Andy's probably really his person. He gets really nervous if he gets too far away from him, if we're all walking together. He's had some breakdowns at the airport if Andy got too far ahead. We realized last time he thinks that our roller bags are chasing Andy. And so
he freaked out in the parking lot.
It's 1 a.m. We land in the Kalispell parking lot. And I realized this because he's kind of shrieking. He'd done pretty well. He did great on the plane. And then Andy's walking the parking lot, and I said, I think he thinks they're chasing you. So Andy starts running and swerving as if the suitcases are getting after him. And he jumped out of my arms, and he was like a trout in the air, just thrashing around and barking and trying to get to Andy to, I guess, help him so the suitcases didn't get him. Any advice on training that out would be welcome from any listeners.
Absolutely hates the garbage cans that we
rolling,
wheel to the street.
growly sound, yeah, and he does think the trash cans are chasing us too. I realize because they're behind us and they're making this sound, so he has to be put somewhere. So
Yeah.
I think short answer, it's Andy. He does sleep at our bed. He's never slept at a crate. Maybe one time when Michael watched him because he was being a jerk, which was fair. And sometimes he'll sleep over Andy's head like a hat. Like he'll arch himself around his head on the pillow, which he's
It's
never
the worst,
done that with
by
me.
the way.
It's not a good night's sleep, but it's really cute. And I do feel like that maybe he's kind of protecting him / maybe it's a dominant thing. Maybe he thinks he's the boss. I don't know.
He's a loving dog, though. I mean, Michael, you're our dog sitter.
Yeah.
The wean sitter. He sees Michael. I'll bring him to the coffee shop some mornings when Michael's working security. As soon as he recognizes him, he starts making that whiny, he like jumps up into his arms.
Oh, yeah.
He goes crazy. Yeah.
But he only does that with a few people. Mm-hmm. He does not do that. He does that for Leah, obviously. He does that when he sees me. He does it for you. A little bit for my dad. I think he's seen him enough. But really and for the kids.
Yep.
For both, actually all. Tyler for sure.
He's somewhat afraid of Julia.
Somewhat afraid of Julia because she keeps fucking running at him. And so he'll run at her, put the brakes on, and just haul ass under the couch.
Or pee everywhere.
And pee everywhere. Riley, he absolutely loves. So he's super loving, but if he doesn't know you, he's still nice. I've never even seen him have the indication of biting anybody, but we can just say that one's a tie. We're both his favorite.
We can tell ourselves that.
He showed me no regard last night. He slept with you the whole night and was still under the covers.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a coin toss, maybe. It depends on the day. Depends on who has food, maybe.
There is that as well.
All right.
And Michael.
How did you approach being a stepmom? What challenges did you face with gaining trust and acceptance with them? How do you manage discipline reinforcement and life issues? What advice could you give to a woman who is stepping into that type of situation, as well as advice to the dad on how to make a transition and loving home for the kids?
Oh, I saw this question. This is a really good one, actually.
Not an easy question.
No, it isn't. And I grew up in a blended family, so we had step siblings, and it was really difficult. Like, it never quite gelled. Without getting too far into it, my step siblings had lost their mother at a pretty young age, and I don't think we're really given proper time to grieve. So it never quite blended. It was always really difficult until my mom and stepdad ended up splitting. So I came into this knowing how challenging it could be, and it was definitely something I was concerned about. I've read blogs and, kind of parenting forums and things like that. So I kind of did some research. I've talked to my aunt, was a stepmom. My mom was a stepmom. So I've kind of talked to family members, and the kids have 2 involved parents. So I'm able to be kind of a bonus adult and kind of a guide on the side and not have to do too much in terms of disciplining. There's been a few times with Julia particularly where I was home with her myself, and that was really tough because we're wanting to, she's wanting to call dad to ask permission for things. And so I try to get some ground rules if that's going to happen beforehand about what is allowed, what is not allowed. And there's definitely a disconnect. So at this point, she really needs to stay. She ends up having to stay with her mom or with Andy in town. Like, it didn't work. So that was tough.
And looking back at it objectively, she's a very smart kid. And
yeah.
And it wasn't.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't accidental. So
No,
for anybody
no.
out there, your kids are going to feel the seams where there's overlap and where there's not. And if they have something that they want to do, they are going to try to work it towards where there's a seam and use, if a mom and dad are in the same house, it's probably pretty hard to get away with telling an incomplete story to one without the other person telling the other. When you're in different homes, you can parse your information out, and it's a little bit easier to push the limit, change the story a little bit, and get away with something you wouldn't if both parents were living in the same house.
For sure. So I luckily don't often have to have any conversations about discipline. Tyler lived with us full time. So we had conversations about being a responsible and caring housemate.
Which were resoundingly ignored.
Not always. Not always. I think he improved a lot.
I started putting his dishes on his bed.
Yes, that did happen after a while.
And started cutting the dick hole out of his boxers.
He was raiding your underwear drawer for a while. Yeah, that was
Payback
happening.
is a bitch.
But I do think he improved, and it's a life skill to be able to live with other people and take care of your own messes. And at some point, he's going to want to live with a girlfriend or, roommates, and nothing is worse than a house full of teenage boys that have a common area that no one really takes care of, So I had those conversations with him, and so some type of guidance, and I'm always there to listen if they want to. But I've realized, watching Andy, it's like the harder you push, the more they go in the opposite direction as teens. So, when he and I got married, they were already teens, which is a really challenging age because they want all the independence and all of the responsibility, but just haven't gotten the judgment yet. So it is terrifying to watch.
Well, their brain is not even fully formed.
Right. Yeah. So doing the best I can to be a listener, a helper, a guide when needed. 2 of the boys are doing Jiu Jitsu now, which is so cool. I've gotten to train Tyler and train with him, and now his oldest, Riley, is starting to train too, which has been a really cool thing to talk about and, have in common. So I feel like the relationships have gone in the right direction, and I've tried to talk to them and be really honest about things if they were bothering me. But it's a difficult line to tread, and I have to leave space for both of their parents who are, again, very involved. So I try to kind of stay in that role. And if I've stepped out of that and been like, this would be a good idea, or obviously you should just take this away, it usually goes really poorly. So it's easy to look at it from the outside and be like, this is a simple solution, but they're humans and they're figuring things out. And it's, he knows them much better than I do at the end of the day. So I have to defer.
We should talk about Riley's power move in Jiu Jitsu.
What's that?
He comes to the house and gets fully dressed in his gi to include tying his belt.
Yeah.
And drives to the gym and then walks from his car fully just prepared for combat at any time.
That's awesome.
I have a few students that do that. I mean, I have a female brown belt that does that and has since she was a teen. And she's like, it saves time.
Riley did say when it's motorcycle weather, he will ride to the gym in his gi.
I hope he does.
That's awesome.
Power move.
Yeah.
He
wear
will
his
get
belt
some
too.
Oh, he 100% will wear.
Stripes,
yeah, we will 100% wear his belt, and he's going to get some really bizarre looks. I love it. He came over and just like practice his belt. And he'll just stand there and just tie it. And they're like, all right, got to go to class.
Yeah, he's getting into it. And I think it's awesome. And he is right. I've watched other people do that. They just throw on their winter boots and just say, well, see you later, coach. And they just walk out in their uniform.
I would feel really awkward walking around town in a gi.
It's not a pride thing. It's an efficiency thing for them.
Be better with your time and you don't have to worry about it. Save yourself 5 minutes. Go there 5 minutes early.
Think of that over the span of the year. 10 minutes of practice.
It's worth it.
Yeah. I don't know. Hours back. They're getting hours back.
I guess. So if you see my son walking around in his gi, he's not trying to fight you. He's going to class.
Okay. What's the earliest recommended age for kids to start BJJ? And if kids are past that age, in the in-between ages, what do you recommend in getting them started as far as reducing intimidation or any uncomfortableness? We
start kids at our gym as young as 3 or even 2.5 if they're potty trained. They do a 45-minute class. I've seen other gyms where they have a half-hour class or they have a parent-child class where the parent can go in, and that's a 1-to-1 ratio. That's very smart. I could see that going well. We have a new instructor. She runs a preschool as well. She's excellent. She just took over Travis's 3 and 4-year-old class. They had a code yellow yesterday. It's a tough class. So they're just still so little.
Are the code yellows usually just a little psst, like a little accident, or are we talking puddle down the leg?
This was to the point where another kid slipped and fell.
Yeah.
And laid out.
Share it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was kind of traumatic for more than one.
I mean, that's
child. It was kind of that is not normal. This is something that does not happen very often. They have to be bathroom independent or potty trained to do the class. So it's rare, but every once in a while they just kind of get focused on what they're doing and
just urine down their leg.
Yeah. So that one was kind of a bigger one. Sometimes it'll be just kind of a little bit, but yeah. So that is when we start them, and they do a lot of body awareness, a lot of coordination work, socialization, starting to cooperate, starting to actually think of other people, which really they don't do that till after teen years, but we start trying to get them to think about empathy and other people's needs or concerns.
At 2.5?
Yeah. Yeah. Not that they can fully do it. I mean, their brains aren't quite there yet, but we have them, especially if they're working toward a common goal in a game or as a class, you tell them, hey, we're going to miss game time if we don't get through warm-ups. They're like, oh, okay, we better, hey, you straighten up. They'll kind of look at their teammates and be like, we got to get it together, guys.
I think anybody who teaches children that age deserves a sainthood.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could walk at 2.5. How could you possibly teach jiu-jitsu?
They remember a lot, and there are certain positions that they can do really well. They remember more than you think. They're sponges at that age. So they come into my 5 and 6-year-old class already having a pretty good base and I would say much better core strength than a lot of kids their age. So we kind of help them step through those developmental milestones that they would normally hit, but we're focusing on that and adding that. We have a life skill component to the program as well. So they're talking about things like this month, the life skill is leadership. So they have a little story. They talk about the word, the idea, they think about it. Can all of them say that word or know what it means at the end of the month? Maybe not in that class, but the 5 and 6 year olds, I would say yes. If you have kids that are a little older, I think anything under 9, you can kind of choose activities for them. Much older than that, they start to get some preferences of their own. They've been around a little bit. They've seen sports in gym, what their friends play, what they get to expose to on TV. But I think under that, parents just need to pick some activities they think are going to be helpful in building resilience, frustration tolerance, socialization. I think jiu-jitsu is great for that.
While it's on my mind, I know you've had a bunch of students, you've started them young and eventually they trail off. Is there anything that you've identified that is more likely to get somebody to give up on it at that younger age?
I'll finish Michael's question first. They asked what can make the kids more comfortable. Having a friend in the class is certainly helpful. If you have a kid that's really shy, I've had kids watch class on the side. So just getting them dressed, having them sit on the side with their parents, sometimes for 2 weeks before they're ready to step on the mat, or maybe they just do warm-ups and come back off. But they have to know they're not going to be forced. And they need to build a relationship with the coach and the student so they feel like they have a helper, like they have an advocate there, and that eventually their parents should be able to leave the room. The 3 and 4 year old class is in a back room so the parents can watch on a closed circuit TV, so that helps. So there's a little parent separation. Not that they don't have to go back there sometimes, but it's helpful to have that. In terms of kids trailing off, that usually happens around teen years where they just socially, they're growing, their friend group, and if they get a girlfriend or boyfriend, that can be the real kiss of death. Lose some kids that way.
What if they're in class?
They're just very busy. Oh, man. Yeah, don't even go there. Yeah, I mean, it certainly happened. It's stressful for everyone involved. But, so that can be part of it. They're applying to college. They're doing extracurriculars. I have some kids now that they're playing 2 sports. So it's like the season in between that, they'll do jiu-jitsu, or they'll do jiu-jitsu in the summer, but around their job that they have and around their clubs and their other skill building and their internships, so they just get really busy. Some of them come back if they stay in the area and they go to community college or they get a job. I've had kids go to college and find it again in college and come back, train at a different gym, or we have gyms in Bozeman and Missoula where there's universities. So there's a big community there. Tyler is out in Bozeman and has access to the gym out there in that community. So,
have you noticed the harder the parents push, the less likely it is for the student to sustain in those teen years? Maybe younger, like you were saying, they have a little bit less of a choice.
At teen years, they don't want to be told to do anything. So if I have a teen, especially if they've been in the program for a while and they tell me, I just don't want to do this anymore, they've done it enough where they understand what it is. They're losing interest. If you force them to stay in that class, they can ruin the culture of the class. I've had a few kids like that lately and they kind of self-selected out, but I had a conversation with them. We sat down and said, let's look at the end of your membership. I'm going to call your mom and let's talk about what are you going to do instead? I never mind if they leave, but I want them to do something physical where they have that social interaction. And again, they're building resilience. The kids that quit younger, I find often have really low frustration tolerance, and their parents are enabling that rather than pushing them through. So I would say at our gym anyway, it's much less likely that I have a parent that's pushing their kid really hard competitively. That's super rare, actually. I have a couple kids that are blending wrestling seasons with jiu-jitsu, but the kid's usually pretty into it at that point. Again, it's about teen years where they might get kind of burnt out. They're like, I just kind of don't want to do this every day anymore, which they've done. They put a lot of time and effort into it, so that's okay, and they may come back. But the kids who, again, kind of quit before they get to really start, before they even get to spar, or before they get to really understand what jiu-jitsu is, are the ones that they're getting mad in games. I didn't get picked as it today. I had a conversation with a parent recently, and if he's been getting upset, he just leaves the mat. I was like, you've got to give him a chance to work through that and at least sit on the side, even if we can't return to class. And he's very young, so lots of room for growth.
Okay.
All right. Hello from Connecticut.
It's called Connecticut.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
For the misses, since Andy bought into BJJ And now that is a common denominator in both your lives. Is there any interest, or have you already gone for a tandem with Andy?
Oh, yes.
If so, any interest in pursuing an A license?
Testing gravity. A license, I think, is 20 jumps.
Does
You get
that
to
mean
jump
by
yourself.
yourself? You jump by yourself?
To get your A license, you'll go through the AFF, or Accelerated Freefall Program. Most people start with the tandem, then they have an instructor holding on to each side. I think at the level 3 now, you go out with one instructor. Level 4 is, I believe, the release dive, where they let go of you and you're actually falling on your own. 7 jumps in, you can graduate. I think if you get to 20, you're eligible for your A license.
So 0 interest in that, like less than 0. If there was a number smaller than 0, like negative 100 interest
Why?
in that. I don't like the feeling of falling. The idea of it
doesn't feel
is
like falling.
Terrifying. I've heard that. Well, but the first few feet for sure.
No, there is 0 sensation. The aircraft is
Until
going...
you hit terminal velocity, there's got to be some
There's
feeling
not.
of falling.
If you do a 0 airspeed jump out of a hot air balloon, you'll feel the stomach rising. If you do a...
Who jumps out of a hot air balloon first? You're going to jump out of a plane.
No, out of a plane, I'm saying you're not going to feel
If
it.
you talk to Adam Singer, you might get sucked right into the propeller.
Yeah. Adam Singer is one of the smartest people I know. Have you heard this story?
No.
That's such a good podcast. If you haven't listened to the Singer
It opened
brothers-
with him and his brother, and I think the first words out of their mouth were, "And then I stepped on his dick."
They didn't know you were recording, but yeah,
Which
that
is
was,
fine.
That was how it started. Yeah,
This man does science for a living.
he makes vaccines.
He tried to tell me that there was a chance that if he exited the aircraft in flight, a skydiving aircraft, which, by the way, he was telling me the door was on the incorrect side of the aircraft to begin with. So this is giving me an idea of his recall in the moment, that if he pushed forward hard enough, he'd get sucked into the engine.
He was also, I think, equally scared, and he actually went through the whole thing. So I have nothing but respect for him.
But there is no sensation. So even a Twin Otter or a Caravan, which would be very traditional skydiving aircraft, they slow down on exit, so there's not as much wind that hits you, but you're still doing 70, 80 knots, so that's going to be close to 90 miles per hour. You do not get, even for an instant, the stomach rise. You go right into the wind.
I mean, you have to sit there in the airplane knowing that you're going to jump out of it. I mean, there's a lot of anxiety around that. So I would consider doing a tandem with Andy only, and then that would probably be the end of my skydiving career. You know, Kate Riggles has some real horror stories from doing those boogies down in, I don't know where they do them in Montana.
Oh, it's the Lost Prairie Boogie.
Yeah, just horror stories. I mean, one of them, I think it was her instructor, or the tandem guy's first cutaway, you know, so she got to experience that. Like, no,
I'm surprised
thank
she you honestly,
No, thank you.
you would not even know that it happened.
Oh, she knew it happened.
Because he probably told her.
No, it was. He's like, well, looks like we're gonna have to cut away, and there was a
See, that's the mistake.
massive,
You just
massive
pop.
jolt. She ended up hurting her ankle. It sounded terrible. Yeah.
No. The move is, as the instructor, if you need to cut away for any tandem masses out there, if you need to, get your passenger back in the right position, but you don't say shit. And then you just cut away and you go on with your day. Tell them about it when you're on the ground.
Unacceptable. Yeah,
wouldn't
the
even
whole
notice the
thing is
difference.
Stressful. Yeah. Yeah, probably because I would have my eyes closed, but yeah.
You have no idea. So my favorite tandem exit is you go out with your back facing into the wind and you do a backflip. The number, it's almost always guys too. They're like, hey, I want to do that. And we get to the ground and they say, I thought you were going to do a backflip. And we can go right back to the video. And this is them on exit.
Yeah.
Whereas
I don't blame them.
Women-
Jumping out of a plane.
women are better students. They respond to the commands better. I've never had a woman jump refuse on me, but I have had some dudes change their mind at the door. We still went fine.
sure.
Yes. Here's the move. Because they'll grab the bar and you say, sir, totally get it. You need to let go of the bar so we can get back in the aircraft. They do. You bear hug them and out you go.
Yep. Could see that. Yeah. So the answer is negative.
But a tandem, maybe.
Yeah, I would maybe do that.
Let's
one
try
day.
a wind tunnel where there's no altitude at all and they turn the recirculating fan on and you can just right there.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me too much. If the whole thing stops, you just fall on the ground.
I mean, you'd be, well, even if it does stop, the fan spools down, so you would just decrease until you're on the net. It's got a net, yeah.
Yeah. Either way, that doesn't bother
Then
me.
tandem, then AFF.
Nope. Hard no.
I'll be one of the AFF instructors.
Good for you. You can teach Tyler. He's real excited about it.
I don't know if I want to take Tyler.
He's great under pressure. He does not get afraid. He has kind of that same
Yeah, that's the problem.
deal that you have. Well, he thinks very calmly and clearly under that
No, he'd
stress.
be the kind of kid who, in mid free fall, would like unzip his fly and whip his dong out and just
okay, I don't know if we'd go that far, but I could see him trying.
Can you see Tyler doing that, Michael? You know him.
Wait, what, while he's falling?
Yeah,
Attached to somebody, a tandem instructor?
solo.
Yeah, I could see him doing it solo.
People do naked skydive. Well, you saw it when we were in Iceland.
Oh, believe me, I saw it. Saw way more than I wanted to.
And you know what's interesting? Nobody wants to see that. I don't know why they do it. And those poor bastards landed miles off the drop zone, nude, and had to work their way back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Ultimate freedom, I guess. To each their own. I have no judgment of someone doing that. It's just not for me.
I don't want to see that shit.
Not for me. That's okay.
This fucking hot dog just getting smashed around. Like, nobody wants to see that.
All right, moving on.
Okay. What qualities should I look for in a BJJ gym for my son and I to start training at? It seems difficult to wade through all the BS in a sport I know nothing about. For context, my son is still single digits in age.
I wrote a blog about this actually because I get this question so often, but the gym should look like a good cross section of the community. One of my coaches, Kane Prevost out of Portland, always used to say that. So you should see smaller people, older people, ladies, children, a good group of each. And you know that the smaller, weaker people are being encouraged to grow and get stronger instead of being weeded out. So if you go in and it's a bunch of 20-year-old, 200-pound dudes, you're probably going to get good, but it's going to be hard and maybe not the greatest place for a smaller, older, or, female student. There's always one girl that makes it there,
Is that blog post still live?
Yeah. It's on a WordPress. Yeah,
Do you want to link it to the
Sure.
episode? So I'll
Sure.
put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I can link it. And proximity matters. I've seen very few families make it if the commute is more than an hour. So that's a big one. But explore all of the gyms within an hour. And the one that feels like it has the best vibe, the best community is going to matter more than, the Jiu Jitsu lineage. Or think about your goals. That's another important thing. If you want your kid to compete or just going to check on the wean. If you want your kid to compete, make sure that they have a competition team. Or if you want it to be more self-defense based, make sure that they cover that. I mean, I think even sport jiu-jitsu has some application to self-defense, but some gyms have more of an emphasis than others. And you may get frustrated if you're in a gym that's really competition based and you're like, well, I want to do MMA or I want to, really work on self-defense or I'm a law enforcement officer. You can always tool your own jiu-jitsu to what you're interested in. But if the curriculum is all based around that, the first 2 years can be difficult. So just, consider the proximity goals. And then, the community piece is huge. And those three things are kind of almost equally important, I find, in keeping a student around. And so watch a class first or have the kid do a practice class. Make sure there's enough instructors to students. If it's a massive class and they don't have enough helpers, it's not as safe and it's difficult to learn. We have a lot of students that help us. So I have teens and junior students that are working on their coaching, and I let them teach little sections of the class. They lead warm-ups. It's just more eyes on the mat, and I have usually some adult helpers too, and I try to keep it, especially for the 4 and 5-year-olds, one instructor for every 4 to 5 kids would be a max. I do not like to go over that because they're just sometimes do crazy stuff. So you need a lot of eyes on the mat.
This episode is brought to you by Mando. I'm 47 years old. Is there anybody else like me who only used stick deodorant until really, really recently? That's what I really thought my only options were. Yeah, I had never actually tried anything else until I purchased some of these Mando products, which I did totally unrelated to them becoming a sponsor of the show. They sent me some stuff afterwards, but I had actually bought this stuff, tried it out, and loved it first. I've talked about this before. I like the stick deodorant. I like their spray deodorant. One of the things I really like, though, is the convenience of some of their other products. I have this one right here that's in my laptop bag, acidified deodorant wipes. Why would you want to get Mando? Here's a few things to think about. It's whole body deodorant, safe to use anywhere on your body. I'm going to read this verbatim so people don't think that I am making this up. Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and feet. Their words, not mine. Have I tried it on all those locations? No. Do I think it probably works? I think it does. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Let's not go that long without a shower, but if you need to, in extremis, if you will, you could make it work. They have some cool scents. They have bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. Clinically proven to control odor better than just a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after the shower, the average man's grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10. Again, these are their words, not mine, but I enjoy them. With Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. First thought that comes to mind is, how did they test that? I don't know, and I don't want to be involved, but I'm going to take their word for it. If this sounds like something that you would like to add to your arsenal, which I highly recommend, these are literally in my laptop bag. Mando Starter Pack is the perfect start for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body wash or these deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off the starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use the code ClearedHot, all one word, at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. So the best way you can help me support the show is to let them know that I'm the one who sent you there. Smell fresh, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe and all those other places that they creatively sent to me and allowed me to say, which I would not have thought of on my own. Shopmando.com/clearedhot. Back to the show.
All right. I want to hear Leah's thoughts on the helicopter ride and possible future helicopter adventures.
Yes.
Helicopter ride. Yeah. So I guess I was a little more nervous than I realized. I was kind of avoiding it unconsciously because when we actually got there, I was like, ooh, I'm a little more nervous than I thought. I've only ridden in one. I was in the back on the way.
You've ridden in one twice, though. So you went there and back. You've had 4 helicopter rides.
Yeah. So many helicopter rides. And I was at the back. One of the times I made a mistake and I was sitting backwards. That was not my favorite, but it was only maybe a 15-minute ride out to backcountry ski lodge.
I don't even know if it was that long. That was
out
quick.
to Baldface. Yeah, that was awesome. But really, really, it was cool. But we had a little training video, and I used to work for the Forest Service, and every once in a while, the fire helicopters just crash. So I know that, and it's. So I had that in mind, and then we get in this helicopter, and the whole front is glass, and it's just small compared to the other one we'd been in. So I trust you completely. The helicopter, however,
That's what all the training is for.
Sure, so much training.
I would say 70 to 80% of your license beyond the basic control of the helicopter is emergency procedures. Mm-hmm. What do you do if you lose an engine down low? What do you do if you lose an engine on takeoff? What do you do if you lose one high, over mountainous terrain, over trees, over water?
Yeah, I think if it was at all manageable, you would manage it, but there might be one that's not. So it was just a consideration.
That's when you make shit up.
It was a consideration.
You work that shit out.
Yeah.
You make it work.
Sure. So anyway, it was, once I got over that and we were kind of moving over the valley that we live in, it was just really cool. We got to see the ski resort and, the lake. We went by Whitefish Lake and all the way over Kalispell. Some of our friends in class saw us go over.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So that was kind of funny, but totally different perspective. So cool. I'm excited to maybe get to some more remote places where we could do some camping, fishing, maybe even snowboarding in the future.
Do you want to fly it? There's a set of controls I can put in there for you.
Absolutely not.
A little bit.
No, there's not even one part of me. Yeah.
How are we going to train you for, if I pass out, you have to land it?
That's not going to happen, honey.
But I'm going to put the other controls in there and I'm going to pretend to pass out because we have to get you ready.
We're not doing that.
Just
No. Nope. I would do my best, I guess, but I'm not thinking that would go very well.
Don't worry about doing your best. We'll practice. We'll put together a training protocol. We'll call it the stroke training protocol.
In that,
When I freaking stroke out and you're like, I got this, you just land it.
No, thank you.
A little bit?
Well, we have like a Venn diagram of interest. There's like a tiny little crossover there. It's like sliver.
Being alive isn't that?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Michael went for his first, was that 2 days ago? When was that?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
What'd you think?
What'd you think?
Same helicopter, so what do you think?
It was awesome. Yeah, I was like a little bit nervous.
That's just you in general, like Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Not in your skills, but just in like
Unfortunately, both of you guys, your nervousness is placed in the wrong area. They're like, I'm fine with your skills, but these twin turbines, those are just going to not work at some point. You really should be looking in the other direction with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty neat. You feel very small, I guess.
Yeah.
I also got a little motion sickness on our way back.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What
I don't
were
even know
you-
what caused it, but
You didn't say anything.
no, because it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, and also he's got to be super tough.
He should try to be, let's be honest. Was it the left, right, or up or down? Was there a combination? Because we had a tailwind on the way back, so we were making better time, but I don't remember it being any more sachet, if you will.
It was right when we were about to go over Wild Horse Island for some reason. I think we were getting a little bumpy on there, so
Okay.
I think that may have done it, but yeah.
Yeah,
it
you
was
just got to
like-
look at the horizon a little
Yeah,
bit.
and that helped. Yeah, and it went away after I did that, but
God, I wish you would have told me he was feeling nauseous.
that's why I didn't
That's
tell
why he
you.
didn't. He knows
Yeah.
you well enough by now, yeah.
But like, check me here,
Yeah, no one needs that. Then you
And
got to
when-
clean puke out of your helicopter. How fun
I'd
is
make
that?
him do that inside of his own shirt.
Ew. Yeah.
Is there puke bags? Nope, but you're wearing a T-shirt. Pull the old collar of that out.
Yeah.
So you're open to more helicopter adventures.
Yeah.
And I need your help exposing the ween.
Yeah. Yep. I think he would be okay sitting with one of us. He's flown a bunch of times now and handled being right over the wing.
Well, what I want to do next week is have him all set up with his ear pro. I don't think
Tactical gear.
I don't think he needs to wear the goggles,
Maybe
even
he
though
should, though.
maybe he should for content.
Yeah.
Turn it on and just let it idle, so he's used to that because he's been in the helicopter walking around. He doesn't seem to have an issue. And then the very first time, just hover for maybe a minute, come back down and just hand him off. And then like the third or fourth time, we'll take him for a flight, a little flight. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to dig it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Did Andy get you into hunting, and how was your experience hunting elk for the first time?
I had done a little bit of hunting. I was always really interested in it, but I didn't have any family members or friends that were super into it. So I'd done a little bit in Alaska and more fishing up there, and I really enjoyed it. And then I'd done, a little bit in Maine and started in Montana. I had a couple friends, and we didn't really, it was more just walking around in the woods. We didn't really kill anything, but I got to go out with them, some friends from the gym, some friends that I knew from Alaska that lived here, and just kind of started that interest.
84% of hunting is
Yeah,
just walking around
just
in the woods.
walking around looking for animals, and it was, it just got me outside again. I was starting to get real focused on the gym and had kind of lost that part of my life where I used to work outside and practically live outside when I was a ranger. So it had kind of shifted things. So it provided an opportunity to get outside. You have to be super focused. You're looking for sign, you're constantly looking for animals. So I love that part of it. We've done some camping adventures with Nelson. Super.
Is that what we're going to call it?
Those were cool. I don't know. I mean, I think it's always hard when you're going to do elk hunting. Like, I've learned that now. You can't expect it. There's no part of it that's easy. Elk don't live in easy places. It's really challenging.
And what do you do? What do you prepare yourself for mentally if your guide says we're just going to go for a short hike?
Oh, if it's our guide from Utah, we're
Fucking death march.
going down in the bottom of the deepest hollow of wherever we're at, and we're going to chase that elk till we find it.
When the guide says it's going to be a short hike, strap in for 10 miles. minimum.
I took the conditioning so much more seriously for our second hunting trip this year when we went to Wyoming, and I felt a lot better. So I did the elk shape protocol, and I'm going to do it again because I felt a lot better. A lot of just rucking. We're already at a pretty good altitude here, but just more uphill, more kind of CrossFit style cardio, just that short cardio. So you can do a burst uphill and not feel like you're dying, and just getting used to carrying weight. I haven't had to, knock on wood, I haven't done like a horrendous pack out yet, but I feel like it's coming at some point.
It's coming.
I've done some shorter ones, and I know I can carry the weight. I just haven't had to do a really long one yet.
Did you enjoy the elk interactions in Utah last year?
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. We were in a herd at one point. So I had sort of explored hunting with other people, but really gotten into it, done a bunch of trips with Andy, which is just really cool to share that with your partner. I've gotten my own animals now, just a few, but that's been really rewarding to be able to then eat those later in the year, to pack it out yourself, to clean it yourself, and share that experience with friends, and it's just, you have adventures, it's really cool. So I definitely love it. I've gotten more and more into it. I want to try eventually to archery hunt. Just how close we got to some of the animals was really, really cool.
It's hard to describe those interactions in Utah.
And he was rifle hunting, but we were close enough where he could have archery hunted. It was,
I might have been able to hunt
incredible.
with an axe.
Yeah.
That one bull that walked in and wanted to bugle, but kind of knew something was off and just, it's like,
we were just crouched down. I thought the thing was going to run us right over. And then 2 herds ran into each other, and we were in the middle of them, just running through the woods all around us, just
full elk
screaming.
party.
Yeah, it was crazy. It sounds prehistoric. So that was just incredible. So that's just, that's a really special place. But even just walking around in Montana, I enjoy shed hunting. I know you don't love that quite as much.
can we just call it hiking?
It's, you get figured out it's about 5 miles for every antler you find, but I love it. It's fun.
I haven't found that ratio to be true at all. I think I'm at 50 to 0.
No.
It's just can we just tell me we're going fucking hiking? I'll go.
It's a purpose. But anyway, yeah. So I guess to truly get into it, definitely Andy got me more into it, and we worked with some guides or friends that got us on animals and gave me the opportunity to get something. And sometimes with a film crew, which was super stressful because I haven't shot a lot long distance. I did better this year with all my prep. I should have done more physical training, like at least 8 weeks before Utah. That was a huge mistake, but I won't make that again. Next time we're going, I'm going to be more ready. No, I'm chasing around these guys. Everybody's like 6 feet tall, some kind of extreme athlete in their life, and I'm just running after everyone. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm just shuffling behind.
They have a gear, Michael, and sometimes I think they look back, because if I was them, I would do exactly this. I would look back and be like, looks like you're suffering. Let's pick it up a notch and just absolutely waffle stomp somebody's dick into the dirt. Just break them physically and emotionally. And then at some point in time, they might have to shoot too.
It got to the point where I just had to recognize what your tracks look like to know where you went. Like, they were so far ahead. I was like, well, there's
and we had Dove
tracks
with us, who was in Vans.
Huh?
Dove was in Vans.
He bosses it up though. He keeps up.
Yeah, he carried the elk head out. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have to go far, but I don't think I could have put that on my back. That thing was heavy.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. Yep. So hoping to do more, really looking forward to that season. And again, to take it seriously. It's not a weekend warrior kind of thing. It is, the jiu-jitsu fitness does not translate whatsoever to walking uphill, I have found.
Guess what's a really good way to spot for animals?
What?
Helicopter.
Yeah, you've got to wait, 24 hours. You can't just helicopter around and then run after the animals. What is it, 24 hours in Montana?
24 hours, yeah. 24 hours.
I mean, that would be cool to
same
have
if
some
you use
idea.
a drone. Yeah, same if you use a drone.
Yeah. Yep. So maybe
To give you a rough idea.
Yeah, some more opportunities in Montana. We didn't really get to hunt Montana this past year.
No, I didn't even touch my tags.
Yeah. So next year.
This year. We need, in about 2 weeks, I'll start getting texts from Paul and Nelson, because tags are due at the end of April, I think.
Yeah. They're both such great ambassadors for the practice. For
Nelson
just
texts me all the numbers that I don't know, and I just put all this.
Those guys prep all year for that. It's cool. They've really been influential in getting me into the sport too. Really generous with their knowledge and time and gear.
Agreed. Hopefully Nelson's knee is good enough for it. Should be. It'll be a year.
He found ways to do it. I mean, he had an elk. I don't remember. It was a deer in a canoe, so he didn't have to walk. It was cool.
Yeah. Well, he should be a year out because he twisted his leg 180 out last hunting season.
180. Yeah.
Legit 180. Yeah.
We're like, oh, his season's over. No, he managed to get some animals. It was cool.
Yeah.
Determined. All right. Do you follow a certain diet or eat a certain way? Do you train anything else besides jiu-jitsu?
Is this for both of us?
I mean, I think it's for Leah, but you can both answer.
I do just basic barbell lifts. I've added some kind of CrossFit style HIIT training. Macros, I'm just kind of higher protein right now and a little bit lower carb. And I'm just trying to track and be really consistent right now. And I do want to drop a weight class for the fall, which I've been saying for a couple years now. I actually did compete a couple times this year. So that was part of my goal. I may compete one more time, and I really want to drop down 1, which has proved to be much more of a challenge in my 40s. Very difficult. So I'm going to have to approach it differently. I used to be able to just kind of clean up my diet. The way I'm eating now, I would have been losing weight in my 20s. And now that I'm 40, it's just like, I mean, I did a pretty hard training camp leading up to these last couple comps and was eating pretty clean. Scale didn't move not even a half a pound. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It's so frustrating. Great on top, you know, if you're on top, but I feel like I should be one more down and I would feel a little more comfortable. So something to work on, but not a specific, you know, not paleo or keto or anything like that. I would say just trying to stick to whole foods, avoiding processed foods. I do some protein powder, creatine now has been really helpful with recovery, and then just trying to make sure I'm getting enough protein. That has also seemed to help me recover, because recovery is the part that is different now that I'm older and competing. But I'm really enjoying the Masters division. I think it's super fun.
Cool. All right, cool. Does Leah speak sarcasm as fluently as Andy?
I wasn't aware that I speak sarcasm.
Probably not as fluently. I don't know if anyone is quite
That's
there.
technically
but
possible.
I try to keep up because
I don't find myself to be sarcastic.
No, not at all.
I've heard you belt out some pretty good, I wouldn't say insults, but roasts.
Yeah,
I feel like
keep up.
I feel like I might be a slightly negative influence on
That
her
is
in
true.
that
I do
regard.
find myself kind of repeating some of those phrases. And actually, when Tyler's a real sasspot too. Actually,
He's got a mouth like a sailor right now.
He really does. College is, man, but
Fuck,
he's
fuck,
hilarious.
fuck, fuckity, fuck. Every third word.
He's hilarious though. So yeah, some of it's from him, I think, actually.
Do you want to hear some real shit talk? Sit in a room with Tyler and Julia at the same time.
Wow,
can't
they
even
they
imagine.
roast each other. They are so funny. They had me crying, laughing one night. They went on for about 20 minutes just going at each other, their respective boyfriend or girlfriend at the time. It was just
Yeah, Tyler was saying
nothing was safe.
Your boyfriend doesn't even have a taint.
That's what he said. I'm like, what does that mean?
None of us knew what it meant, but first off, what? Why did you even think or say that? But quite frankly, Julia had no response to that.
Yeah, I mean, that you there's no response.
Your boyfriend doesn't even have a taint.
I actually think I know where that is coming from.
I don't even want to know.
I do.
Yeah, no.
Do tell.
So there's this like study recently that basically it was like the smaller your taint length basically means the less testosterone and more microplastics you have.
That
And
seems
so-
like a Tyler.
Why?
Yeah.
I was going to say, why do I know that he
That's
has
a
read
Tyler
that? He has
fact,
this
yeah.
probably printed out and highlighted somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Leah, what is the best story Vaughn has told you about
Oh,
Andy?
God.
I think Andy actually.
This is going to be the orange.
Yes. Have you told that on here before?
I don't know.
It's so funny.
I don't know if
So
I've
I
even
think
heard this
Andy
one.
told me, I once asked him, I do think he won the parent lottery. Vaughn is so awesome. And I think he was such a great dad. I think he still is. And
You would have loved my mom too. She was great.
great grandpa. And so I said, did he ever get really mad at you? Because everyone has a point. And he said, well, there was this one time he flushed an orange down the toilet at his home. And
Before people ask, I don't know fucking why I flushed the orange. I don't know why I was looking at a toilet and said, I think I know something that's the exact diameter of that hole in the bottom. Let me go get it out of the fruit bowl.
so Vaughn, being pretty handy, ripped the thing out of the ground.
Hold on. You're skipping a few steps.
Go ahead. You tell it then.
So I flushed it, probably out of curiosity where it was going to go.
Not far, turns out.
So the toilet backed up.
That's weird.
How weird.
Water starts coming out over the top. I go and tell my dad, hey, there's something wrong with the toilet, and I don't know what it is.
something.
I did not. I'll tell you when I disclose the orange portion of this. So he goes and gets the snake, like the metal snake is just like jamming this metal stake down the hole in the toilet. Nothing's coming out except probably little orange bits. So I was like, weird. Never seen that before in my life. Fucking water covering the bathroom floor at this point.
So it had to be just stabbing through the orange.
Yeah. Yeah. He unscrews the toilet from the floor, gets underneath, double arm, Boondock Saints, carries this thing.
It's a good reference. Yeah.
Have you ever watched Boondock Saints?
No.
Now you have to,
Jesus.
Michael. Now we have to.
Carries it out, puts it in the grass, lays it on its side, and is sitting there like, what in the fuck is wrong with this toilet? And that's when I told him,
You told him, or did he make you reach in there? Didn't he find it?
no. I told him there might be an orange in there, and he just walked inside. He goes, fucking get it out. So
There
I,
might be.
It's possible somehow an orange got down.
so I got my little hand in there and worked the fucking orange out. And then I mean, I couldn't have carried the toilet at that point. I think he reinstalled it and just went on with his day.
He didn't even address it, though. He wasn't like, what were you thinking? Or you have some kind of punishment. He's just like, we're just gonna move on. Like,
What's the point of asking somebody at that age, what were you thinking?
yeah,
Putting
there's
an
no,
orange in the
I mean,
toilet?
that would
nothing
be
going
more
on.
traditional, but like I said, I think he realized that
He just
it
looked at
wasn't
me-
worth it.
Yeah, like, who fucking cares what you were thinking? Don't put an orange in the toilet again. Yeah, and so went back
It's a
inside
good
the house.
dad. You know, I mean, he didn't even rage out. He didn't curse you out. You didn't get grounded.
I think he just started laughing.
Yeah, I mean, it is hilarious. What were you thinking?
So funny.
There was water all over the bathroom. He was like a fencer, just freaking ha ha ha. Just
Yeah. So that was a funny one. He did tell me he went out to watch Andy in part of Bud's. He did it a couple times.
He was there during Hell Week,
Hell Week. So he was in rough shape, and he said
as was everybody else in the class, by the way.
for sure.
Yeah.
How many were left at that point?
Let's see. 18 of us originals graduated, so at least that many. We
Originals.
probably lost somewhere between 4 to 6 people after Hell Week due to an injury roll, so 24 maybe.
Yeah. So he's watching him run by, and you were what, 17, 18?
18 going on 19.
18, yeah. So, and he was like 170 pounds, maybe
150.
150, but 6 feet tall somehow. So just rail thin running by. And he said he looked so rough. You know, he was like so proud of him, but he said he looked so rough that he like threw up. He turned over and like threw up in a trash can. I'm like tearing up.
Yeah, like maybe don't come watch your kid go through Hell Week.
Yeah. And the instructors were really sweet. It sounded like they would talk to him a little bit. and
They
kinda-
would, and then on like Thursday we were playing. I vaguely remember this. We were playing soccer, and by that we were standing in the sun because you're so. I didn't know how bad off you are as a student until I went back as an instructor. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're grinding the shit out of the students.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're trying to make sure they don't fucking die.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Because they're hallucinating. They haven't slept. They are getting calories, but they're dehydrated. They're they're losing weight. They're completely chafed from top to tail, from just the sand everywhere. And so, as a student, you think you're running as fast as possible. You look like a fucking zombie. So they're like, "We're gonna play soccer." So we tipped a boat on its side on both ends, and you're just like standing there in the sun. And like the ball could hit you, and you're like, oh, and you go. So you were playing soccer.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing my dad up on the berm because instructors are up there just drinking coffee, watching. They're literally you really decrease output as the week goes on because you'll fucking kill them if you don't. You don't realize that as a student. And next thing you know, they're like, "Seaman Apprentice Stumpf, come up here," and I'm just like, ah. And I think my dad asked me, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I looked at him like, "How the fuck does it look like I'm doing?"
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and I went back to class.
Yep. Well, he just
But they
wanted to-
secured us from Hell Week, so he was there when
He wanted to see
when
your
they
face,
secured
yeah.
us from Hell Week. I was able to give him a hug.
Yeah.
You go through a very robust medical check, and then you are put. There's like a brown T-shirt waiting for you, a white T-shirt you wear before Hell Week, brown T-shirt you wear after, so they still don't see your name on it. I think there was a Gatorade, big Gatorade, and a pizza sitting there waiting for you. And so you go through the medical check, you get that, and then you get sent to the barracks, and people are watching you sleep for about the first 24 hours. Then
Did
you
you eat a whole pizza?
I have no recollection of either
wow.
eating or drinking. You're a zombie.
Yeah.
I'm sure I probably ate some of it, but you just want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then what's crazy, I do remember this. You're so tired, you lay down and it almost feels like you can't sleep. And then you're like, and 6 hours has gone by.
Yeah.
And you really have to pee. And some people just, didn't want to get up. Just little
Yeah. Just the support, though. I remember last Vaughn story, he showed up. You had a coach, I think a baseball coach, that he told Andy, I don't know why he got mad at you. I would guess that you were mouthing off
No, he was being a dick to the team.
Okay.
And I told him he could take a long walk off a short cliff.
What year were you
while
in school?
fucking pounding cock down his mouth.
Okay. Like not mouthing off at all, yeah. So
No, he was treating the team like shit, and I
Yeah.
basically called him and I was like, why don't you go fuck yourself?
what grade were you in?
Probably a junior or senior.
Yeah, so you were a catcher,
Yep.
and so you left practice early.
Yeah. He was, this guy was treating the team like absolute shit, and I can't fucking stand bullies. I've never been able to, and nobody else will say anything. And
Vaughn had a couple stories like that too, where he just stepped up and at risk to his own
Yeah.
career, health, whatever he was trying to achieve, and just kind of was like, nope.
Yeah. So I gave it right back to the coach, told him to go fuck himself. And he was like, you're never going to make it in the fucking SEALs. I was like, just eat dick. And I went home, and my dad was like, I drove the Volkswagen fucking Vanagon 4-speed manual transmission home furiously. Just
hard to peel out in something like that.
Oh, no, maximum speed
Look
40.
assertive,
Yeah,
yeah.
maximum speed 42.
But yeah.
So I get home, and I remember this. My dad was out on that back patio, and he goes, what are you doing home early? I was like, my fucking baseball coach is a piece of shit, and he told me I was never going to make it as a SEAL. He goes, get in the car. So we get back to the same van again.
Was he driving or are you driving at this point?
He was a lot faster.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't say a fucking word on the way back to high school. We were living on, let me see, we were not on Morrissey Boulevard at that time. We were on Trevethan. And did he lock the brakes up when we parked in the outfield?
You parked in the outfield?
Not like on the grass.
Yeah.
The baseball, the way
Got it. Yeah.
the road fence and
Yeah.
like the dugout and stuff was here, but you parked here. I don't think he locked it up. I don't want to oversell the story. He got out and made a fucking
Mannequin.
beeline for that coach, and that coach was over by where they were doing batting
I'm
practice.
trying to imagine this. Did he just have a giant mustache at that point? or
I've never
full
known my
beard,
dad
too?
without a mustache. He had probably just a dick broom at that time.
It's a big dude.
Yeah. So the coach
Probably
saw him.
playing rugby at that point.
Oh, he'd been playing rugby for 30, 40 years.
Oh.
And coach saw him coming. He had a little bit of a purpose to his steps. So the coach started walking at him, and they collided in the outfield.
Your dad knocked him down, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did he say to him?
Don't ever fucking talk to my son like that again.
Somehow you stayed on the team, though, after that. I figured that would have been it for your
Yeah, I started
catching
the next
career.
day. We had a game the next day.
Well,
I don't know if you know this. Nobody wants to play catcher because it fucking sucks.
yeah.
You're there like squatted over, relatively often getting hit squarely in the fucking balls with.
Well, I mean, just the support, though. Just handled it. He didn't even talk to you about it, really. He's like, this is what we're going to do.
Completely silent on the drive.
He's so mad. He's probably so mad, yeah.
That guy's lucky he didn't take his head off.
Yeah, I laid him out. Just one shot, or did they
I think
get
he
into
might
it?
have shoved him.
Yeah.
There was definitely some verbal altercations. They played the radio game. My dad turned off his transmit button for a little bit. He was on receive only.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't. There's been a few times in my life where somebody is talking like that and they think they can just get away with it. And I don't care. I'll be the person that says something, and I don't give a fuck. I'm like, oh no, I don't get to play baseball. Fuck you.
And honestly, I think you got it. I mean, he's like that. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And had I not been able to play baseball again, I knew what classroom that guy was in. I would have gone in and just absolutely ran my dick around every fucking inside rim of the cup that he used in his own class.
Gross. Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to talk about dicks at the end of this story?
Because I would have absolutely ruined his fucking life
yeah.
from a slow, passive-aggressive sense of whatever a 17-year-old could do.
No, I realize Tyler's a little like that too. Maybe to his detriment. Luckily, he's training some jiu-jitsu and has done some striking because he will also step up. And we kind of had that conversation with him. He got into it with a kid in the elevator, and we're like, you got to be ready to back that up.
Elevator's a tough environment. There's no escape.
Yeah, the guy was mouthing, just being real mean to his girlfriend. So Tyler told him what he thought, and we're like, dude, you got to be ready at that point.
Yeah.
Because
I'm fine with him telling what he
Yeah.
thinks, but you better fucking be ready for game time right after.
Yeah.
that.
I'm glad he's playing rugby now too, which is pretty cool. So,
God.
yeah. And Michael.
So is Michael.
Yes. So I don't know if that's just the next iteration of jiu-jitsu.
Any ladies out there who want to go watch rugby players, his shorts will be at a maximum of a 2-inch inseam. So he'll be out there playing rugby. Next tournament in Spokane, no big deal.
Yeah. So come on by.
Yeah, he'll be the curly, ginger-headed fuck running around.
It's going to be awesome.
I'm not cutting my hair.
Why would
It'll
you?
be very obvious who I am. Yeah.
What else you got?
All right. Let's end it with this one. I'm going to add on to it. So the original question is, what is the best thing you like about your husband, Andy?
Oh, God.
And then I'm going to say, Andy, what's the best thing you like about Leah?
Okay.
I guess this may surprise people who don't know him, but I guess his kindness and empathy for others.
That's right, motherfuckers.
He really does take care of the people around him in a big way, and he will sacrifice his own well-being, health, sleep to make sure that the people he's taking care of are okay.
My answer is actually very similar. This is the first thing that attracted me to you was just the way that your brain works. You have a capability. I've said this to you, that you have a capability for empathy that I wish that I had. I would snap on people long before you get to the place where you sternly look at them.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're pretty patient too, especially with your
Only
kids.
with people I like.
Yeah.
I'm less patient with people that rub me the wrong way or want to be creepers.
Yeah.
No, it was your brain. The way that your brain works, just the way that you treat people is exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you too. What were you going to add on to that, Michael?
My add-on was, what does Andy like about Leah?
Oh.
Because the original question was just Leah to Andy.
Do you have any dating advice for Michael?
We've actually had some extensive conversations.
way.
Well, okay, it's
Yeah.
not working. So what else do you have?
No, it's more just not settling. That's all.
Yeah, don't have buckles on your shoes.
What? I don't
Makes
get
you
that
a
reference.
settler. It's
Yeah.
not that funny.
You ever seen that?
I see.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
where he got that. I think that's his own
No.
reference.
I heard Nelson say it one time.
Oh my god.
He goes, does this look like I have buckles on my shoes? My response was exactly the same. First, I looked at his shoes. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was like, what?
Because I'm not a settler. And I was like, son of a bitch. That is actually pretty
I could see
good.
that being a Nelsonism. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, just not if it doesn't feel right, that it's worth waiting and finding that right person and not necessarily tolerating being treated as less than or in a way that you don't appreciate. And that happens a lot more when you're younger. People are just not quite ready to settle down and they're dating. So and now there's this added electronic layer where people can ghost and start something and not finish it. And it's a jungle.
I could not have
challenging.
I could not have done the online digital thing.
It's good and bad because you can meet someone with the exact same interests, but
That's assuming they're telling the truth.
very true. Michael's run into that. He's been catfished a time or two. So
Have you ever catfished anyone?
No, because I'm honest.
What is your profile picture?
hopefully it's him and Javi now. I told him he's
Yeah,
really got to
on
work
Instagram,
that. If
it's
he's
me and
dog
Javi.
sitting,
Is it?
Yeah.
You got
I
to
feel like
walk
he-
him all over town.
Yes, up and down Main Street. What is the problem? We're going to be in Baldface. He's already lined up. The weather should be great.
Mm-hmm.
What are we waiting for?
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Ween Parade.
Queen Parade.
I know that Leah has secretly purchased many outfits for him I haven't seen. I've seen some of them.
Secretly, I always show you and I model
I feel
it
like
on him.
no, I feel like there's a hidden cache somewhere. But she could share that with you, and you could put him in an outfit.
Perfect. Good idea.
Black tie one day, top hat another.
Top hat. That would be awesome.
I mean, people
He should have a top
Monocle.
at breakfast today. You joined us for breakfast. How many people came over? At least a half a dozen. Oh, we love your dog. All right.
hat. Yeah, well, something to work on. But yeah, no, that was my only advice. I think until you find that person, it's worth moving on, even though it's really hard and it can be very isolating and lonely, for a while. But totally worth it. And I never would have said that before meeting Andy. I was just like, it's statistically improbable to find your perfect match. I was very pessimistic. I considered myself a realist, but in retrospect, I was very pessimistic and maybe getting a little closed off as I got older. It had been a minute. So,
Well, now you're stuck.
Don't
with
give
me.
up. Don't give up. Stuck.
Now you're stuck.
Best decision of my life.
I'm doing my best. Let's end it with talk about your seminar coming up in Costa Rica.
Yes. So kind of a dream seminar for me personally, the one I would have wanted to go to. It's half jiu-jitsu instruction. So I'll be teaching the jiu-jitsu part and then half surfing lessons.
If you want to, right?
If you want to, it's included in the cost of the camp, and it's still really comparable to the other camps. It's kind of a steal. And if you use the code cleared hot, just one word, at least this next coming week, I think it'll be live.
Okay.
You can get a $200 discount, which makes it crazy cheap for, it's like 4 days of jiu-jitsu and 4 surf sessions, hour surf sessions. The surf lessons are taught by an actual expert subject matter. Nacho Ignacio. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, really great instructor. He runs a lot of the classes at Hero BJJ, which is a nonprofit that fully donates all of that money from the destination seminars like this one to their children's program. So they pick up these kids that normally would not be able to do anything after school from their neighborhoods and brings them, they do jiu-jitsu, it gives them uniforms, school supplies, just that community piece again, and kind of an extra place outside their own home where they have support and an activity. And it's just a really, really cool program. So if you're thinking about doing a seminar, it's a beautiful place. Great time to get out. It's going to be in May, so spring here is variable. It's a good time. It can be kind of a windy, cold time too. So if you live in the north, go down to Costa Rica, get some surfing in, get some jiu-jitsu in, and it's just a great time. There's great food there. The beaches are beautiful. There's all these excursions you can do. It's really family friendly. It's very safe. So you can find the link for that on herobjj.com.
I'll put it in the show notes too.
Yep. And it sounds like Andy's going to post a link to that as well as the blog. And
Bring your family, bring your significant other if you want to come. Tamarindo is super cool. How many times have we been there? 6 or 7. We're
quite a few. We end up going there for the jiu-jitsu seminars. I always surf as much as I can. I'm still so bad at it. It's so hard. I think it's way harder than jiu-jitsu. I just haven't put nearly the hours in that I need to, but I love doing it. And it gives you that same feeling of flow. It's really challenging. The area that we surf is very beginner friendly, sandy bottom, really small waves. And again, the instructor is excellent. He's able to explain the pop-up better than any other coach I've worked with. And he's super patient. He'll have other instructors on board to help for those that want to come out and surf. So it's going to be fun. We're probably going to do a roll down by the beach.
on the sand?
Not on the sand. They'll be in the grass near the beach. So sunset
should
roll,
do it-
but near the beach.
No, you should do it on the sand, and you can push your partner's head underwater if you want.
I feel like you've had enough sand and pushing people's
Oh
heads
no, I'm
underwater.
playing top on that with my partners on
You
that.
don't
I'm
feel
just
like you'll be in the sand, yeah.
driving people's head underwater.
Okay.
No, the reason I bring up Tamarindo, it's super family friendly. We've traveled many times down there with people, kids of all different ages. It's easy to get around. Like you said, there's a tourist aspect to it. The flight we don't fly into San Jose. Where do we fly into? It's Liberia. You could fly into San Jose. It's a much longer drive. I would go into Liberia.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, we've been there enough times. We can go visit. I mean, we go down to Dan Hart's seminar every December. We can go visit him in Chicago anytime, but we go there because it's just such a cool place and the cause is so awesome.
Yep. And again, the money goes to that great cause.
Yeah.
And the area around it is just incredible. I mean, it's a jungle. You're
Yeah.
seeing monkeys climbing across power lines in the street, all kinds of different tropical birds. You can go out and go deep sea fishing. You can, we've toured.
Catamarans. You can do sad horse rides.
There's horse rides on the beach. You could do that. I don't know if they're sad, but they're on the beach, and you could do
You could get bird whistles or cocaine from the same guy.
possibly,
Yeah, the trinket salesmen really have a wide variety of
They're
things.
working hard out there,
They
yeah.
are.
And then, we've toured a coffee plantation, cacao plantation. That was really cool.
Waterfall.
Yep, done a waterfall hike. So it's just
super
so
fun.
pretty. It's a really wild place. It's still quite rural, even though Tamarindo is definitely more of a city, more of a touristy place. They finally paved what we call the lawless intersection downtown.
So unfortunate.
It's getting, I don't think so. It's getting more developed, I guess, but you can go just outside the city and then there's no one, you know, and so if you rent a car, you can get out pretty easily. And then everything in town is pretty close. So beautiful place. We keep going back, and an opportunity to do two really cool disciplines together. I mean, I love both. So
cool.
Yeah.
What do you want to end it on?
I think
See you again in a year in here.
I mean, yeah, if we have something else to talk about, you know, looking forward to that seminar and going back to Costa Rica, and I'll be teaching in Vancouver, Washington at our gym, our Straight Blast gym there the week before, like May 5th, I believe is that seminar. So if you're in the Northwest and close by, you could come train with me there. And then if not, come down to Costa Rica.
Right on. Until next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Nobody